You know that feeling when something valuable just vanishes from your pocket and you didn't feel a thing?
Yeah, it's unsettling.
Imagine that. But happening digitally, that's pretty much what folk stealers do, and that's what we're diving into today. So welcome to Technically You, where we break down today's most critical cybersecurity threats and trends. And so today I'm bringing on Angela Ack, who is the founder, it's the CEO of InfoStamp.
So info stealers, think of them like silent digital pickpockets. They're basically malicious software malware designed specifically to steal sensitive information.
And we're talking about serious stuff here.
Oh yeah, everything. Passwords, your online banking logins, credit card numbers, personal emails, and even crypto wallet keys. Your location history sometimes too.
Wow. And the really unnerving part is how quiet they are about it.
That's the key. They're built for stealth. They sneak onto your device, your computer, phone, whatever, collect all this data, and then send it back to cyber criminals.
Sure, without setting off any alarms. No warnings. Mhm.
Usually none at all. You often don't know anything's happened until it's happened. Well, until the damage is done.
And that damage can spread pretty wide, can it? It's not just individuals.
No, it hits everyone. Individuals face financial ruin, identity theft, a total nightmare. Corporations can face huge data leaks, theft of intellectual property, and even ransomware. Attacks sometimes start this way.
Ransomware, too. So is a gateway?
It absolutely can be. And for governments, the stakes are frankly enormous. Espionage, compromising national security, and messing with critical supply chains, it's a serious threat across the board.
It sounds pervasive.
Really is. And what's quite worrying, maybe even fascinating in a grim way, is how easy they are to get hold of now.
How so?
Well, on the dark web, you've got this thing called InfoStealer as a service.
Yeah, they call it software as a service, but for crime, pretty much.
Cyber criminals can basically rent these sophisticated info stealers, the whole attack infrastructure, often for not much money.
So the barrier to entry is lower now, right? Much lower.
Even people without deep technical skills can launch these attacks. It means the threat landscape is just wider. It affects all of us.
Okay, so these digital pickpockets are out there, easier to get than ever. Let's dig into how they actually get onto our devices. What are the main ways they sneak past our defenses?
Well, the classic methods are still very effective. As we all know by now, phishing emails are a big one.
Ah, those sneaky emails.
Yeah, emails that are designed to trick you. Click this malicious link, download this infected file. They often create a sense of urgency or curiosity, trying to get you to act before you think.
Right, the ones that look almost real. What else?
Malicious downloads are another huge concern. They can be disguised as a popular software. For example, those games you find online for free.
Stuff people search for and love to download.
Exactly. Or even seemingly helpful tools you find on some unofficial website. If you're not really careful about where you download from, you're taking a big risk.
That makes sense. What about just browsing the web? Can visiting a bad site be enough to get you infected?
It definitely can. Compromised websites can be set up to automatically and silently install malware, including these info stealers, just because you loaded the page, usually by exploiting vulnerabilities, weak spots in your web browser, or maybe one of its plugins if they're not up to date. And then you've also got malicious browser extensions, those little add-ons people install for extra features. Some are deliberately designed to spy on you and steal your data.
Right. You add something thinking it's helpful, but it's actually betraying you. So, okay, let's say one of these tricks works. The info sealer is now on your machine. What actually happens then? What's its first move?
Once it's installed, it just quietly starts scanning. It's like a digital boogler. PPI casing the joint.
Looking for the valuables.
Precisely. It's programmed to hunt for specific things. Passwords are saved in your browser and your browsing history, which tells attackers a lot. Those authentication tokens that keep you logged into the site. Yeah, things that websites use to remember your login so you don't have to type your password every single time. It is very valuable to attackers. It also grabs system info, details about your computer itself.
It's mapping everything out. And then how does it get all that stolen info back to the bad guys? Is that process noisy?
No, that's designed to be stealthy too. The data exfiltration, sending the data out, is usually fast and tries to blend in with normal network traffic.
So you wouldn't notice a slowdown or a spike in outbound flowing traffic.
Probably not. It transmits the collected information back to the attacker's server, their command and control center, often in the background using your existing internet connection.
Man, this sounds incredibly sneaky. Can you give us some real world examples? Names maybe we've heard or just types of damage they cause?
Sure, RedLine Stealer is a big one. It's been used all over the globe. It's responsible for stealing millions and millions of credentials.
Millions. Wow. What made it so popular?
It was relatively cheap for attackers to buy or rent, easy to use, and it could grab a whole range of data types. It is very effective. Unfortunately, it
Okay, techies, this is the end of part 1 of our session on info stealers. Please stick around for part 2 for more insightful information. See you there. Okay, listeners, welcome back to our Technology podcast on InfoStealer Malware. We ended part 1 with one of the real world examples, RedLine. So are there any others?
Then there's Raccoon Stealer. That one got attention because it really focused on stealing browser cookies.
Cookies like for websites?
Yeah, those little files that websites use. Sometimes stealing those can let attackers bypass security like multi-factor authentication. Raccoon also went heavily after cryptocurrency wallets.
The crypto angle again makes sense given the potential value.
Absolutely. It shows how these threats adapt to target whatever is currently valuable. Vidar Stealer is another one worth mentioning.
Vidar?
Yeah, you got to find it bundled with cracked software, pirated stuff. So it hits individuals looking for free software, but also potentially small businesses if they accidentally install it through cracked software.
Like a lot. That's a common trap.
It is. And what's really interesting or maybe alarming is how often a massive data breach at a big company can actually be traced back to something like this. An employee's personal device gets infected with
An info stealer, and that provides the entry point into the corporate network.
exactly. It just highlights how our personal cybersecurity habits can have much, much bigger consequences for the places we work.
It really drives home how connected everything is. Okay, let's talk more about why different groups should be worried. You called it a silent epidemic, starting with, well, most of us listening, the general public. What are the biggest dangers for individuals?
The risks hit close to home. They're very personal. Stolen bank details, your accounts could be drained. It's financial devastation for some.
What else?
Money, identity theft. If they get enough personal info, they can impersonate you, open accounts, ruin your credit. Cleaning that up takes ages and is incredibly stressful. It can wreck your reputation.
Yeah, that sounds awful. And for companies, you mentioned data breaches, but what else?
Well, the fallout for corporations is huge. There are potential regulatory fines, especially under laws like GDPR, lawsuits from customers whose data was exposed, and the loss of trust that can be crippling for a brand. The costs can easily spiral into the millions.
Millions in damages plus the reputational hit. Ouch.
And that's before considering if it leads to something worse like ransomware, locking up their systems and demanding payments to restore them.
Right, now shifting to governments, you mentioned national security. Can you expand on that? It sounds quite dramatic.
It is. Think about it. If government networks are compromised via info stealers, highly sensitive defense secrets could leak out.
Like weapon designs or troop movements.
Potentially, yes. Or vulnerabilities could be found in critical supply chains, energy grids, water systems. An attacker could exploit those. It poses real risks of espionage, destabilization, and major disruption.
Okay, this is definitely serious stuff across the board. It paints a pretty bleak picture. So, knowing all this, what can we actually do? What are the key defense strategies against these silent attacks?
Defense really starts with the basics, the fundamentals of good cyber hygiene. Strong, unique passwords for every single online account are absolutely critical.
Every single one. That's a lot to remember.
It is, which is why using a reputable password manager isn't just a good idea anymore. It's essential. It generates complex passwords and stores them securely. You only need to remember one master password.
Okay, password manager. Got it. What's the next layer?
Multi-factor authentication, MFA, and even an external device like FIDO2. Turn it on and use it wherever it's available.
Oh, that second code you get on your phone or, via an app.
Exactly. It adds a crucial barrier. Even if a attacker somehow gets your password, maybe from one of these InfoStealers, they still need that second factor to actually log in. It stops a lot of attacks.
That makes total sense. Just relying on a password alone feels pretty weak these days.
It really is. Another vital step is keeping everything updated. Your operating system, your web browser, your phone, all your applications, and especially your security software, antivirus, anti-malware.
Why are updates so important?
Because updates often contain patches for security holes that have just been discovered. InfoStealers and other malware are constantly trying to exploit those very vulnerabilities to get in. Patching closes the door.
So keep things patched. Hey, listeners, this is the end of part 2 of our podcast on InfoStealer Malware. Please join us for part 3, where we continue to dive deep into this topic. Welcome back to part 3 of our Technically You podcast on InfoStealer Malware. We will start part 3 with what we should do at an individual level to protect ourselves.
Okay, speaking at the individual level, we should be incredibly suspicious of unexpected links in emails or text messages. Don't download software from unofficial sites or sources you don't completely trust. If an offer for free software or a game seems too good to be true,
It probably is, especially if it is unsolicited.
almost certainly a healthy dose of skepticism goes a long way.
Okay, those are great tips for individuals. What about businesses, organizations? They face a more complex battlefield. And
They do. For organizations, you need more advanced tools. Endpoint detection and response, or EDR solutions, are key.
EDR, what's that?
In simple terms, think of it like a really smart security guard. For every computer and server, it constantly watches for suspicious activity, not just known viruses, and can automatically block threats or alert security teams in real time.
So more proactive than traditional antivirus?
Much more. Businesses also need to regularly audit and monitor their network traffic, looking for weird patterns, data going to unusual places. That can be an early sign of exfiltration.
Like spotting the getaway car?
Kind of, yeah. Plus, with EDR, you can roll back to the last clean image on your devices. Now, for organizations that need top-tier security, there's threat hunting and managed detection and response, MDR.
MDR?
That's where you have dedicated security experts actively looking for threats within your network 24 hours a day, hunting for the really sophisticated stuff that might sneak past automated defenses. It's a very proactive stance. And with SOAR, remediation can be automated as well.
Okay, so there are defenses, individual and corporate, but as you mentioned earlier, these threats evolve. What's next? What does the future look like for InfoStealers?
Well, unfortunately, the trend is towards more sophistication, making them harder to catch. We're starting to see early signs of AI being incorporated into malware.
AI, how would that work?
Imagine malware that can learn from its environment, adapt its tactics in real time to avoid detection by security software. That makes the job of defending against it much, much harder.
Wow, that really does sound like a escalation, a cyber arms race.
And it definitely raises questions about whether our current defense models will keep up or if we'll need fundamentally new security approaches down the line.
Any other big trends you're seeing emerge?
Yeah, there's a clear and growing focus on targeting mobile devices.
Okay, makes sense. We do so much on our phones now.
Exactly. Banking, shopping, and communicating. So InfoStealers are being tailored to attack smartphones specifically. They're especially interested in mobile banking apps, trying to grab login details or intercept transactions directly in the device,
So the phone in your pocket is becoming a primary target?
increasingly so. And securing mobile devices presents its own unique set of challenges compared to traditional computers.
So is this constant back and forth, isn't it? Attackers innovate, defenders adapt, attackers find a new way.
Precisely. It's a relentless cycle. Cybersecurity defenses get better, so attackers develop new tools and techniques to get around them. You can't just set up your defenses and forget about them. It demands constant vigilance, constant learning, and constant adaptation.
Oh, wow. This has been a really eye-gripping and honestly a bit unsettling conversation. It's easy to feel kind of powerless against these hidden threats.
I get that it can feel overwhelming, but the crucial thing to remember is yes, info stealers are stealthy, but they can be fought. Awareness and consistently using those proactive security measures we talked about make a huge difference.
So the message for everyone listening really is stay vigilant, don't get complacent.
Exactly. Keep yourself informed about the threats. Be diligent about those security basics, strong passwords, MFA updates, careful clicking. That's your best shield.
Because this isn't a problem that's going away.
No, the threat landscape is always shifting, always evolving, so we have to keep learning, keep adapting our own security habits. It's an ongoing effort, this fight against the folks trying to silently steal our digital lives.
What a really vital message. Thanks for breaking down such a complex and frankly scary topic for us as we wrap up.
Yes, false stealers may be silent, but together we can make sure they rare not invisible.
So listeners, stay vigilant, stay curious, and as always, technically, it's all about you. Catch you next time.